Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second. Sorry, folks. We're just going to call Lorana in as well, if that's okay. 1 moment.
So, Diego, floor is yours, Ben.
Okay, just 1 moment.
Okay.
Cool. So, folks, thank you so much for making the time to join. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think maybe your PC mic is on. There was a feedback.
Yes.
That was me. My apologies.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, so hi, folks. Again, thank you for making the time today. My name is Diego Viso. I'm a PM here within the Azure Time Series team. I'm joined by my colleague, Lorana Hughes, as well, who's a PM. And what we wanted to do today is give you guys a bit of an overview of Time Series Insights and let you know where it's going. So Time Series Insights is our end-to-end analytics platform tailored towards the unique needs of industrial IoT. So what we wanted to do today is cover Time Series Insights, a bit about what the product is, what the use cases are. Then we'd go over some high-level architecture and capabilities. We'll then walk through some core scenarios, what we typically see our solution being used for with our customers. Lorana will then step through a demo for us, and we'll close off with a roadmap of what's to come. So with that said, let's quickly get started. Let's quickly...
go sorry, Diego. Are you sharing your screen or...
Yes.
I can't see it. Can anyone...
Okay, let me try again. Apologies.
Yeah, it was there and then it went away. Yeah, we can see it now. Thank you.
Can you see? We might not be able to do it full screen. Let's just.
Oh, that's good.
You could see that in full screen?
Yes.
No, we can see. Yeah, now we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. We're all set, ready to go. All right. So what I wanted to start off with is talk about how we see and how we categorize and properties of industrial IoT data. So typically speaking, IoT data lacks structural consistency. So we find many of our customers have either no structure in their data, it's semi-structured. Sometimes they do have structured. The key here, it varies based on organization. The next piece there is, generally speaking, industrial IoT data lacks contextualization. So when you look at a manufacturing asset, you typically see raw telemetry ingested in, but there's no context about where that data is coming from, what its relationships are with other sensors, possibly within the asset, or where that sensor is located. So that's another challenge that we see. The other thing is that typically to derive value out of industrial IoT data, it needs to be combined with other data sets, such as maybe weather information or systems such as MOM and MES as well, provide additional insights. When combined, give you a broader view of your, for example, manufacturing process. So the ability to interop and extract data out is very important in industrial IoT. And lastly, when we talk about industrial IoT data, we talk about data that is very large in scale. We're talking billions of events across many decades. And the reason for this is a lot of the insights derived based off historical information and historical patterns in that data set. So typically a lot of our manufacturing customers, when they talk about transforming their organizations to digital factories, are very much interested in their historical data set to see what patterns have occurred previously and how they can use that information moving forward to build better products. So with that said, what is Azure Time Series Insights? So Time Series Insights is a fully managed platform solution, again, tailored towards the unique needs of industrial IoT. And our mission is really to empower our customers to drive actionable insights out of their data. So we have a few buckets here. So the first one is we ingest, process, store, query, and visualize highly contextualized data, and we do that at scale. Next, we connect through a variety of sources. We connect through Event Hub, we connect through IoT Hub. And the other thing about our platform, it's fully open, fully flexible. We write our data in Parquet file that allows you to then take that data set and combine it with other Azure services or external services to do further computer analytics. We also provide rich APIs, so all the data that is stored there is fully accessible by APIs. We can run all sorts of queries. We also provide you with a UX so you can visualize that data on top of charts. The UX also allows us to do model authoring and other bits and pieces. The UX that we have is built on JavaScript, and we give away the JavaScript SDK so customers can build their own analytics applications. We usually see this when customers want to build an application or a visualization that's very specific to a domain, or when customers want to combine other data sets using our components such as our line graphs, our chart graphs, etc., etc. That is all built on a highly scalable, flexible platform, and the platform grows with your customer. In other words, it's pay as you go. As they grow, as they bring in more events, we grow with them. One of the key things here is we released a public preview of our product in December. We've gone ahead now and released an update to that public preview very recently as in Ignite. And the features here, some are new and some are incremental additions. And I just quickly wanted to cover some of the key functionality that we have in Azure Time Series Insights, which drives a value proposition for our customers. The first one is we have a warm and cold tiered storage experience. So think of warm as a storage layer where your customers will drive interactive queries. So this is high, possibly low latency, high frequency, very recent data. And then we have a cold store tier, which is for longer retained data. Think of historical data, decades, years old, where customers will look at trends or use that data as a training source for further AI and ML scenarios. Secondly, we spoke about the platform being open. All of our time series data that we collect, index, partition, and store is done so in Parquet. This means that you can take that data and connect it to Databricks or Spark to do further analytics. We have in the works a Spark connector, which will make that very easy to do in future. But again, the data is yours. What you do with it is up to you and your customer. We have a rich set of APIs. We talked about the UX experience. We support things such as interpolation. Interpolation allows you to reconstruct missing time series. We also support scalar and aggregate functions. We have categorical variables as well. Think of categorical variables as discrete signals rather than just sending raw numeric values. We've got the capability of ingesting, for example, states, either states in a process or states whether things are up or down. We have various different charting scatter plots. We've got the ability to time shift a given time series so you can look at that same signal over a variety of time. The platform is enterprise grade. It's very performant. We've done a lot of work to improve ingress, storage, and query to give you the best experience at scale. And we have rich extensibility through our Power BI connector. We allow our customers to take queries from TSI and visualize that in Power BI. And this is to the point that I made earlier, which is all around connecting related data sets together and getting a better view of your business. I quickly wanted to touch on something which is fundamental to TSI, which is TSM, our time series model. As I mentioned earlier on, part of attaining the data is actually deriving some insights out of that. And to drive quality insights, you need to have some method of contextualizing that data. So we have time series model, which is built into time series insights. And we have a few concepts within time series model that helps you contextualize your data. So we have types, and think of types as a way to describe a sensor and then describe a computation on that sensor. So for example, we could look at associating a type with temperature, And then out of the values that I'm ingesting for temperature, I may want to understand what is the average temperature, what is the minimum temperature, what is the maximum temperature. I can also create derived, let's say, time series from those types. The second thing we have is hierarchies. Think of hierarchies as a topology where I can represent my time series in a hierarchy of sorts. It could be parent-child, it could be a physical deployment, it could be relationship-based, such as an engineering or mechanical relationship or electrical relationship. The key thing here with hierarchy is you can have multiple hierarchies to visualize views that are important to the business, as well as have time series sit across multiple of those hierarchies. So the same instance of time series can exist in multiple hierarchies. And then we have the instances themselves. So think of the instance as the representation of the time series itself coming in. So when you're connecting your device or your tag into our system, that is represented as a time series instance. We can then wrap around metadata. So for example, you might have a time series against that is temperature, and you want to define the units as Fahrenheit or centigrade. You want to define that the upper and lower ranges of that temperature sensor is 0 to 100. These are things that you would define as part of your time series instance in things that we call instance fields. The other piece that I wanted to mention is our query engine. So TSQ is what our customers who build custom applications or actually our UX also leverages in order to provide you your visualizations. And the important APIs are on the right-hand side here. We've got the ability to enumerate your time series instances. We have the ability to travel your hierarchy through hierarchy APIs to traverse your hierarchy. And then we've got the ability to either pull out raw events straight from our TSI data store, or you can pull events out and perform calculations through the get series and get aggregates APIs. All of these APIs are documented on our public website. And as I mentioned previously, everything you see in our UX is built based off these public surfaced APIs. I quickly wanted to run you through our architecture here. As I mentioned early on, we ingest from either IoT Hub or Events Hub. We then run that through our data processing engine, which does some massaging of that data and also flattens the JSON files you ingest. We then route to warm and cold store, and we have a policy or retention that we can set that allows us to route data to warm store based on retention period. That is up to 31 days today, and that may change. Cold store is infinite. Technically speaking, we can store as much data as we want on cold store. We then have our query API, which interacts with the data stored there. And you can see that our TSI Explorer, our Power BI connector, third-party applications all talk through this unified query API that will actually query warm or cold based off policy. You can see there on the right-hand side that we have a connector we have a connector being built for Spark, but you can access these Parquet files directly. You bring your own storage. Azure Blob and ADLS Gen 2 will be supported by GA. You can take these Parquet files and pass them through to Databricks and Spark. On the left-hand side, you can see the time series model where we store our instances, types, and hierarchies. I quickly, just prior to the demo, wanted to talk to you about some of the scenarios we see on the field. They're all around data exploration, operational intelligence, and advanced analytics. Most of our manufacturing customers are trying to build better products, trying to take some of these insights and drive closed loop control. Before I go through the diagram, the important thing to note is your customer can start upfront without any model. They can start ingesting straight away and do ad hoc exploration of that data. When they're ready and when they want to drive further insights, they can start building the model and then drive asset-based analytics, which will effectively help them unlock these types of scenarios around operational intelligence and closed loop control. So typically what we see in the field is our industrial IoT customers have, starting from the left here in this diagram, have some form of manufacturing assets. They may be robots, they may be process manufacturing line assets. They have their PLCs connect to either an IO gateway or a SCADA system. From here, we connect to an OPC UA server, and then we connect with IoT Edge using an OPC publisher. OPC publisher creates the JSON files that we then throw into Azure IoT Hub, and then we take that data and we store in time series insights. Some customers do pre-calculations on that data. They may use ASA to create some derived time series. Additionally, they may use something like Azure Functions to drive some action based off those insights. We can then take either the results of those actions or that derived time series and put that back into time series insights for further analysis. You can see also that in the time series icon there in the middle, we branch out, and this is where we bring time series model, which is part of time series insights, to drive the contextualization. And this pattern typically unlocks scenarios around operational analysis, operation insights, and then furthermore predictive AI and predictive dashboards that help our customers plan and forecast. With that said, I am going to hand it over to Lorana to give you guys a bit of a demo of the product, if that's okay.
Thanks, Diego. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen.
Diego, I have a quick question here.
Yes, please.
With large customers, we have come across this question, like they want to be, more private, more secure. Is there a way to encrypt this data, like through customer managed keys? And the second question is, I know this is available through a public API. Is there a plan to make it using private link so customer can access it over a private IP address?
So I'll take the first question. So everything we do is compliant with the Azure compliance standards. So our platform adheres to all the security practices. Everything we do in terms of customer data is secured. When we talk about connecting to the edge, this story is a little more complex. Most manufacturers follow specification. Generally speaking, it's referred to as ISO 95 or the S95 pyramid. There's some work that's being done around how we make IoT Edge comply to that, how we make it secure. But generally speaking, the security side of that is more around ensuring that let's say things in the cloud can't drive some of the manufacturing assets. So, robots don't start doing crazy things. Everything is secured through SSL. Everything is encrypted as we store it and take it up. So that's kind of the security side of it. Again, there is more work being done. Industry 4.0 is driving some convergence around cloud and plant floor. And that's continually a work in progress. The second question I forgot. So what was the second question?
The second one was the access over private IP.
Yeah, sorry. So access over private networks. So we fully support accessing this stuff over ExpressRoute, which was, I think, public peering before, which is Microsoft peering. So if a customer did not want to traverse the internet, they would use ExpressRoute to do so. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, probably I will cut you off. I meant to talk about private link. It's a service which allows you to connect to PaaS services over a private IP. So
I see.
Yeah.
Got you. All right. Let me take that offline.
Yeah,
and let's see what work
offline
that we're doing there. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
So I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me because I can scoot closer to the mic if need be. So could I just get a sound check? Sound confirmation?
Can you guys hear Lorana?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so here I am in the TSI Explorer. So this is the complimentary Explorer app that ships with your environment. And I just wanted to briefly introduce the environment that we're looking at. So this is our TSI campus environment. So this is live HVAC data streaming in from building 121. And you know that Microsoft is going through a campus refresh and modernization process. And so adding smart building capabilities is part of that effort. So right when I come into the environment, you'll notice that up here, we have what's called the availability pane. So you'll see that there's this orange bar. Now this indicates the newly launched warm store. So anything here that I search within this section will be querying the warm store. And again, that's for those frequent queries over fresh data. And we don't charge for these queries. So when you provision your environment, you have the option at the provisioning time to go ahead and enable warm store. That's configurable for up to 31 days. Or you could always first launch an environment and then come back and enable warm store. Next, we have the charting pane down here. And then here is the well, which I'll touch on momentarily. So I've already charted room temperature. And now here on the left, we have the hierarchy. So as Diego mentioned, this is the contextualized hierarchy for this environment. So the physical environment that within which these sensors or tags are situated. So we have campus, Puget Sound, West Campus, building 121. And now I'm looking at the terminal unit VSVAV for level 1 and then coming to unit A10. So large environments will have large hierarchies, and in order to help manage that, you can pin a specific folder. So here I'm just going to go ahead and pin my unit A10. Now I'm limiting the hierarchy view just to this scope of the tree. And you're also able to search for tags. So here I'm searching fan. Now this search will be limited to my pin folder, but you could also search globally as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up some additional data points. I'm pulling up damper command. So the damper is the plate that regulates the airflow to a space. I'm also pulling up the airflow sensor measurement and flow set point. So these values are all related to one another and involved in a feedback loop to keep the desired conditions, keep the conditions in the room as the desired conditions. So these values are all correlated, and when I come here, I might have specific questions in mind. I can do things like drop a marker. You can zoom. So I can zoom in to a specific time period that I'm interested in, or explore the events themselves. Now, I want to go ahead and show you what we call an exploration. So here in the well, you can click this lightning bolt icon, and that will open up what we call explorations. So suppose you're interested in just one value or one data stream, and you want to compare that stream to itself at an earlier period in time. So here I'm going to go ahead and do a time shift for room temperature, maybe 24 hours earlier. Now, my other values are still going to remain in the well, but they're deselected for now. Now, the default view is stacked, but you can also do things like share the y-axis or overlap. So this is specifically interesting if you have data that is highly periodic or seasonal. There's also other charting options, such as, so the default being line chart. We also have heat map and scatter plot. It just depends on your data. Your data, of course, has to be scatter plotable. Next, I want to go ahead and shift gears and talk about the model. So we are looking here on the left side at the hierarchy, but that was authored previously. So I'm going to be coming over to the modeling tab. And so here we have time series instances, hierarchies, and types. Now I'm clicking on types, and we're seeing that there's the default type here that has 3 variables. So variables enable you to do computations on a type. And we are excited to announce that we've launched a new variable type, and that is a categorical variable. So I want to just quickly go through that for you now. So I'm editing the type and I'm clicking add new variable. So categorical variables come into play when you have data coming in, say as a string or as a numeric value and you want to map that value to a category. So here I'm going to write sensor state. The kind will be categorical. And now I have the option to select from the already populated data coming in or do something custom, but I'm going to select present value, which is coming in as a double. And now I want to give this a label. So my label is going to be on, which is indicated by 1, and then off is 0. And my default category or fallback will be unknown. And so this is when a value comes in that is not previously defined as one of my labels. The default will then apply. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Let's see. So I think there was already one sensor state. Let me go ahead and edit that. All right. Great, so just had a bit of a naming collision there. And then these categorical variables enable you to ask questions like, over a given interval, how many times was this tag off or on, for example? So some of our data is coming in, and then we're able to pull up those categories here. Now, soon we'll be enabling you to specify your own colors, but for now, it's kind of luck of the draw, and you get the default colors. Great. So lastly, I want to demo our new Power BI connector. So here you'll see there's this More Actions button. When I click on More Actions, I have the option to download a CSV or connect to Power BI. So when I connect to Power BI, I'm given the current query that the Explorer is showing now. So I can either select aggregate or raw events, and then I'm able to copy that query to clipboard. Now I'm coming over to the desktop version of Power BI. Now this was released in the October version of Power BI, so just be sure that you have the latest version if you'd like to use it. I'm coming to Get Data, More. This modal always takes a second to pop up. Azure, Time Series Insights, and clicking Connect. And now you can paste in that query, and that is actually an array of queries. So you could extend it, add more if you need to. And so that enables you to create charts such as this. And it might be especially useful if you want to have a dashboard for senior leadership that has data from multiple sources. So maybe you want to combine operational data with data from finance and accounting, for example. Thanks. So that concludes the demo. I'm going to pass it over to Diego.
Thank you, Lorana. We're just on time. I'm wondering whether we're okay to go for a couple more minutes to talk roadmap, or we are. Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Please go ahead.
Everybody wants to see roadmap. Okay, bear with us for 1 second.
And by the folks, if somebody has to drop, please note this call will be recorded so you can see on demand.
Yeah, apologies for going over. So just quickly, we wanted to tease out roadmap. This is not a commitment to say it will be released, but it's the strategy that we're heading for in order to create one of the most compelling IoT analytics platforms for our customers. So some of the work we're doing is around, as you can see here, I won't go through it verbose, but there's some rationalization we're doing with time series model, plug and play, and digital twins. In particular, we're looking at how we leverage DTTL, which is the digital twins language, to surface up a single way of modeling and querying your data. We're also doing some additional work with OPC to make that native to our platform. There's additional things we're doing around TSQ. There's a slew of updates that we're doing to the UX. We have new connectors being worked on. We've got additional robustness around security and compliance being developed. The call-out features on the right-hand side down the bottom there is we are working on TSI on Edge, and this is about bringing this analytics capability closer to the plant floor for our customers. And because we are historizing and maintaining decades worth of data, it makes sense for us to start introducing some native functionality around forecasting, anomaly detection, alerting, some of these AI ML scenarios that customers have been asking for. So this is where we're going. Again, just in the interest of time, I don't want to go through it verbose. I wanted to see if there was any questions that we could answer today. In addition to that, I just wanted to point out we have a slew of resources available, including product documentation, tutorials, videos, and a demo environment. So with that said, any questions that we can help answer?
Please unmute and ask if you have any questions.
Yes, I do. I have a question. How can we see the streaming data live as data moves across screen? It doesn't seem like when you do the query, it seems like the data is static. So I was wondering, how can we see something like a leaderboard or some kind of a streaming process going on, like data moving around live?
Yeah, so currently Time Series Insights offers near real-time exploration. And there is not currently auto refresh in the Explorer, although that's something that we're looking into. There is the metrics pane in the Azure portal that shows you your incoming bytes, for example. And then depending on what hub you're using, you might thus investigate that services metrics and offerings there to see. But currently, you're correct that there is right now about a 90 or so second lag, and of course that might vary depending on network connectivity as well. But we don't have auto refresh in the Explorer to kind of get that streaming effect that you're looking for, although that is something that we are looking into. I hope that helps to answer the question. And Diego, if you want to add anything as well.
That's good.
So I'm curious to know if there's a specific scenario that, maybe a dashboarding scenario that you're thinking of.
Well, for IoT sensors, I think some of the use cases, some of the customer want to know how we can monitor sensors, such as temperature or pressure and so forth. Instead of doing a query, they want to set up some kind of an automated visual on a dashboard in such a way that they can see it as a leaderboard, for example. If it's a numeric readout or if it's a time series kind of a thing, they want to see the line move. So basically, it's a scenario like a continuous monitoring situation where you have somebody looking at the screen, or you have some kind of a visual tool that provide that kind of capability. That would be nice.
Yeah, so
something like a Grafana.
Yeah, so two things that we're doing is we are going to be working on dashboards. That's number one. Number two, again, we have customers that will leverage things such as Power BI to pull up specific KPIs. So that's kind of the two things I can share with you, but we are looking at building in native dashboarding as we progress our journey.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions before we wrap up? No, if there's nothing else, thank you everybody for your time. It's much appreciated. Naveen?
Thanks, Diego. And
Thanks,
Lirana. Thanks, Lirana. Really appreciate it.
Feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I will reach out to you offline about the question that we don't.
Yes, please do. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.